Well, we see the bans coming in here. You can see the Wukong has been banned out. There is the Kennen ban, as expected from Evil Geniuses, and Nivea taken away by the Giants and the Lux. Wow, we hit these on the head. Is it going to be Gold? It's going to be Kassadin. So Ryze is available. Is that going to be bait? Will they go for it to start with? That would be a tricky pick to take first pick Ryze.
Yeah, I don't think EG really plays him too often. I mean, he's a really good champion, but Exter is kind of the person that really wants to go for him. They do take out that Shen.
Kha'Zix, this Kale, Kha'Zix, there's so much available right now. Xin Zhao.
Renekton is open though as well, and we saw Wicked playing in both games yesterday. Did very well with him. Yeah, Xin as well, a very strong champion, very strong jungler. Snoopy showed he's quite competent with them lately. Would you be too surprised to see one of those two champions actually picked up? The Kale, I'm not really sure if they want to go for that as a first pick necessarily, but it is in, well, as I say that, it is in their top three of things they can pick up.
Well, it has been something that Snoopy's been playing a fair amount of, so that could be mid. It could honestly be top. I mean, I don't think I've seen Wicked playing it too much, but I'm expecting it to be jungle. So we'll see whether Giants... How are they going to adjust things? Is it going to be a Ryze picked in there? Are they desperate to get it in? You see Samux actually flagging a referee there. The referee's in their referee outfits, Bundesliga outfits, I believe they are. But we are seeing the first two picks. Samux, well, considering he's flagging the referee, I'm expecting this maybe to drop out. Or are they going to select someone?
Well, the thing is that Giants, over the past couple of weeks and even during the qualifiers, they played a lot of tanky champions. So they want to have a high sustained champion pool, health pool, and then as well as followed up with a lot of CC. So they played Mundo last week. We might see them use that again just for the extra health. Even Olaf, who is available, though he is slightly nerfed in this patch, but they do hover over Zyra, and there is the Mundo extra being locked in. So we will see Morden running that in the jungle.
Well, we did see a lot of this in the live qualifiers, didn't we? I think Zyra was picked pretty much 3 out of 4 matches, I believe, and the only one didn't get was actually banned in. So that could be the support Zyra. We're expecting that. Morden, like you mentioned, did play a lot of Mundo as well in jungle in the live qualifiers. So what are we expecting, EG? Are they going to go with their Akali strat here?
Well, real quick, the Zyra actually can be played by Exter. He has played him.
Yes.
So we could see that as well in the main lane. But over for EG, what we're going to see here, I mean, they might pick up their AD carry and support. They have that Varus Sona combo. They have the Caitlyn Lulu. It's all depend on what they actually want to run. And though you're against a really high target, really high health target, maybe even Kog'Maw might come out to really just chip through all the damage and all the health that everyone seems to be building in Season 3 so far.
So we do see possibly that Renekton going to get locked in. That will be Wicked, or Bricked as he's being known in Season 3 currently. And there is going to be Sona for Crepo. So standard picks for EG. I say standard. I mean, this is actually a different EG that we used to see in Season 2, but standard for Season 3 so far.
Well, Jim Bones has played a little bit of Ashe in the qualifiers. I won't be too surprised to see him pick that up. But against this combo, you need someone with a sort of escape mechanism. Maybe an Ezreal wouldn't be a bad pickup against the Sona, just to be able to escape that, not to mention the Renekton as he slices and dices into the back line. Wouldn't be a bad pickup, but their mid lane, I mean, you still have Ryze available. You have a lot of champions that Extra can play currently up, but do they really want to commit to that? Obviously, they will show their hand here if they're going to play support or AP Zyra in the middle.
So let's see. You can see the discussion of the team on your screens right there. I think that's Extermin, I believe. Let's just check in to see. There is, of course, Jim Bones, the man we've highlighted for this match. Isn't going to be an AD Kennen, so looks like he's going to switch up maybe to... Is it going to be an Ashe or a Kog'Maw? See, this is what we talked about, taking him out of his comfort zone. What is he going to fall back to?
Well, looks like that Kog'Maw will get locked in. Not a bad pickup, because you saw Wicked playing yesterday, just straight health. I mean, he had the Warmogs, had a Sunfire, even went for Thornmail, so it's going to help to chip away at that, adds in some extra magic damage. But the Elise pick, that one's really interesting, because Morden usually runs her in the jungle. I haven't seen Exter or even Samix playing her that much, so we might see her in the middle.
Definitely played it on the top lane. I've definitely seen it, and I seem to recall it. I think he even played it AP, it may have been. Actually, no, that was Morden. Morden played in the jungle. He played it AP in the jungle. I remember it now, yes. Cast my mind back. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to be Samix playing Mundo top lane. I can't imagine that's how that's going to work. So, what are we expecting? What is Froggen going to go with here? Or will that be Kale?
It very well could be Xin. Still available. Hasn't been touched yet. It's going to be nice to separate the enemy team. We might see a Varus, which wouldn't be a bad pickup since they did run that combo with the Sona Varus for Yellow Peak for Froggen. What he's going to play middle, I mean, it's really just dependent on if they... Okay, Twisted Fate. He has run that before. It's a really strong champion, but... I mean, we're going to see how it really works out with this composition, because Snoopy, he didn't look terrible on his KO when we saw him play it, but it was a little bit shaky, but they've had time to practice. They've had time to kind of get used to that in the jungle, and then we might see a really strong EG team coming out here. But Giants, as their last pick, going to be...
Well, Ryze is there.
Ryze is there, but do they want to run that at least in the top lane? We see the teleport actually sitting on for Extra right now, so the Ryze wouldn't be a bad pickup, so you can teleport help in those other lanes, but, you know, oh, there it is. I was going to say, when you run teleport, you're usually just saying to your opponent, I don't really plan to win this lane. But against a Twisted Fate, you have to run that teleport. You have to kind of stick with him and follow him into a lane and kind of turn around those ganks.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you talk about the teleport there. I know Froggen's mentioned it himself, saying about if you do take teleport, you're expecting to lose your lane.
Right.
Well, that's an interesting one. We're definitely going to have to ask the analyst desk that a little bit later on, see what they think of that one, because definitely an interesting point, because it's been working so well for Extermin. We saw the teleport yesterday used perfectly in that mid lane. It was against
I'm trying to remember as well.
I'm trying to think who it was. It was the teleport around the back.
It was Jace coming down to middle.
It was, and I'm trying to think who it was.
It was against EG.
It was Coutard, yes, yeah. Of course it was, yeah, and it worked very well for them.
Scales well.
So, I mean, I don't know. Let's talk about the team comp. So, what do we think of this? This is an EG we're kind of used to seeing now.
Well, we have a very kind of interesting composition, because you have Renekton. He's so beefy, he's so tanky, because that's the way Wicked's going to end up building him. It just depends if he can sustain in the lane against Elise, who's a pretty strong, not necessarily hard counter, but can really harass him quite a bit. It just depends on how Wicked can play it. With the Twisted Fate, we might see a lot of ganks happening, a lot of 4-man ganks coming down into the bottom lane when you have the CC from Sona and Varus as well. And over for the Giants side, I mean, they have just a strong late game team. You have that % health damage out of Elise. You have the % health damage out of Kog'Maw. You have Ryze, who builds tanky and just does an insane amount of damage. You have Mundo, who just goes straight tank as well. And the Cleavers do surprisingly a good amount of damage. And you have Zyra for the nice lockdown, the nice amount of CC. And not to mention that ultimate, if you can land a nice spot on that, you can really disrupt the enemy team.
Have they got enough to be able to get to Kog'Maw late game?
That is the question.
If they get to late game. Bearing in mind this is EG, so they tend to go to late game basically themselves. They'll take it to that point. Have they got enough to dive in, get deep? They have, of course, got Twisted Fate, but he's not going to be surely diving in the back lane. That's not something we're used to seeing Froggen doing.
I mean, if he goes for a Zone, that's his first item, he could bait them in and really catch Giants off guard, but you're definitely right. I mean, all you really have is that Renekton to get into the backside, and then you're pretty much committing Kale's ult to keep Wicked alive in the back, or use his ult to keep Froggen or Yellow Pete alive. It's really going to just depend on how well they can run this early game and how well they can kind of control the Giants as the game progresses.
Well, if you have just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting underway. This is the Sunday of League of Legends, technically day 4, if you'd like to call it that, but it is week 2 here in the European League of Legends Championship Series. It is Evil Geniuses versus the Giants, and you can see immediately the EG going aggressive and getting caught out maybe. Are they going to catch on towards Jim Bones? Well, Froggen with that yellow card pulled does take a bit of damage. Froggen wanting to get around the side, walking straight through the ward. The rest of the team are going to be fully prepared to go aggressive and get that ward into the Wraiths.
Well, we saw EG do this both games yesterday. They kind of invaded a little bit, just try to put a little bit of pressure as they are swinging around towards this top side, so that red buff might get contested, but Giants are going to be pushing up here and trying to stop EG and kind of just get a spot of where they are and kind of just get some sort of vision on them. But looking real quick at, runes and masteries, as we see Snoopy, he's not running attack speed, or he used to run attack speed, but he's also running 14 flat armor pen. So it's a little bit of a different thing to do in the jungle. And then you see over on Yellow Pete running that flat 13 yet again, which is something he's been doing pretty much entire tournament so far.
Well, where are EG going here? Looks like it may be a late invade. We do see possibly going in. I'm not going to give their position away just yet, just in case anything leaks through in sound. You never know. I always like to be safer than sorry. And you do see them spotted there, and the ping goes down. The Evil Geniuses do manage to get in. Oh, but a great route there, actually catching them both out, but Jimbos couldn't capitalize on it. They are going to go towards the red buff. Are they going to be able to react to this one? We do see Wicked and Snoopy up there, going to steal away the red buff. As it is in the mid lane, you can see Froggen being kept busy as well by Extermin, and they have managed to get around. They've managed to take that red buff. Can they prevent Morden from coming around and getting their own?
And what they're doing right now is they're taking away so much jungle from Giants. I mean, they took 2 camps so far, including the red now, and they even got their own double golems at the bot lane. So EG's going to have that strong level advantage towards the bottom side, but we do have a lane switch, so we will have Wicked 1v2 in the top side with that Elixir Fortitude, going to try to just sustain as much as possible and just farm up if anything he can under that turret. With his Q, you obviously can get a lot of stain, but the mid lane, a gank going down on Exter.
Well, they're going in, they're trying to put the damage down, but 2 tower hits on towards Snoopy does force him back. We saw Morden come around, he managed to get the red buff of his own, so he managed to do that invade. Can he go on towards Snoopy? He knows that Snoopy's already low, and he's going to put the damage down. He might have enough, but Froggen comes back around. Now he's going to land the stun card back on towards Morden. Is there enough damage to exchange? No, but he does force the flash from Morden.
Yeah, very great play by EG to turn that around. It could have actually been very dangerous. Morden going back to his jungle, but in the meantime, Wicked in the top lane. It is a 1v2 situation. They have No real wards to spot Mundo coming in from the river. However, they did have him spotted towards the bottom side of the map. They had him low, so they know he's not going to be putting any pressure up towards that top side. And Snoopy just going to take his own blue buff. So they're doing a great job controlling these buffs so far and controlling how much farm that Giants can really pick up, at least in terms of the jungle.
Snoopy is going to have a tough job at taking down this blue buff, but he does manage to do it. So we also saw Mordant backing off. Any early items we're seeing here coming out from any of the teams, it doesn't look like anything spectacular. We do see, though, in the top lane, the Brilliance Potion, the Fortitude Potion, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a standard pickup these days for Renekton, just to kind of keep that extra health in lane, the extra damage for your Q. It also gives you extra little bit of a life still here as you hit the mobs with that Q. One thing that's interesting is that Yellow Pete, he went for Doran's Blade, so he's looking to really pressure Samix as much as possible. As you're seeing it right now, they're keeping him under his own turret. They're keeping him, you know, trying to limit as much farm as possible. And Wicked, I mean, looking at his counterpart, he's ahead in CS so far. He hasn't taken as much chip as his counterpart, and he's doing a really good job of just holding that lane so far. However, the turret down to half health. Yeah,
the turret down to half health in that top lane. Bottom lane is definitely not taking as much damage. Samix is doing a good job at keeping them away, whether that's down simply to Kog'Maw putting the pressure on, or whether Yellow Pete's happy to stay in lane a little bit longer. We do see in the mid lane as well, the two mid laners, Wicked just taking a little bit of damage there. 23 CS currently to Froggen compared to Extermin on 15. Of course, we are expecting to see Rise's CS take off once he hits that level 6, once he starts blowing that ultimate, basically to wave clear.
Yeah, I mean, he has a really weak early game, but that mid game, once he gets that mana rolling, he can just decimate an enemy team. It looks like EG is actually going to kind of just give away this top turret. They're not really pushing super hard on the bottom side to get that turret down, so they might just be giving Wicked a free lane to farm up. It really depends on how well Giants punishes EG if they do let that first turret drop.
Well, you can see constantly, every time Jim Bones gets close to it, he puts a shot down on it, and he's going to keep pressuring on towards that turret rather than farming out the minions. He's happy to keep the lanes and the middle now. We do see Mordant coming around towards Froggen. Froggen does manage to avoid it. Ghost was used there, though, and he tries to put a pressure back down onto Extermin, but it did force that summoner spell.
It looks like EG is reacting to that top heavy push. Snoopy coming down towards the bottom side, going to put a little pressure on this turret. Samix going to have to back away. They easily could dive this on him. However, Samix level 5, Mundo coming down. The top turret finally does drop, and looks like Mordant might be coming in for a gank here to turn this around.
Well, it looks like he's just going to try and pretend and defend this turret, and he will force them away. Mordant has managed to show his presence there, so he's going to try maybe keep them away a little bit longer. Remember, teleport is not available right now, and that will be the turret going down. So a turret apiece now, keeping the gold very much even between these two teams. The question is, will these lanes rotate around?
Yeah, we should see that. However, I mean, you have a lot of free farm for Wicked right now because he's just freezing the lane towards that top side. Yellow Pete and Crepo can keep being really aggressive at this bottom side, really keep that pressure against Samix and force his farm to stay relatively low. We do have an early Spirit Stone picked up for Snoopy, so it's actually a very common item to pick up now because the benefits and how cheap it is just really strong for junglers to pick up early on. Just kind of leave it at that for a good portion of the game. In terms of lane switch, we're going to find out very shortly as they do finally back away. It looks like Samix will head up towards that top side to kind of harass Wicked down a little bit, but he is behind in levels, he is behind in farm, and he's actually just overall behind in items currently because Wicked hasn't even backed in bot yet.
Yeah, he's going to stick around. Still hasn't had to use that Fortitude pot, so he was feeling pretty safe on that top lane. We do see Samux now heading for the top lane. Extermin has backed away as well, so he's going to be getting that Catalyst shortly. You can see he's already got the Tear of the Goddess on him. As it is, bottom lane, you can see Vampiric Scepters for the both duo AD carries. And as it stands, they are going to stick in that bottom lane. So we see Jim Bones and Babetta on Kog'Maw and Zyra switching around. They've gone down to the bottom, but the duo lane of EG chose to stick it around that bottom, so they want to defend that turret. They're not happy to just rotate and change around.
Well, it's also a really smart play on their part because they can destroy Zyra and Kog'Maw in a head-on-head fight, especially when they are level 6. Even though Kog'Maw, he starts to pick up at 6 because he can harass a little bit from range, and not to mention his passive becomes even stronger, but they might get caught here.
Crepo's got to be careful. I tell you what, Babetta could have gone a bit more aggressive there. They're going to continue to follow on towards Crepo. If he can get those grasping roots, he does manage to land it down there, but the team can't follow it up. Manages to catch the slowdown, but Evil Geniuses reacted very quickly to that one to protect their support player.
And with Wicked making some sort of presence in this bottom side, it might actually show they go in for an early dragon here. This blue buff is taken over by Dexter.
It's caught out here a little bit here. Wicked does manage to pop his ultimate. Can he go aggressive on them? Now he's caught with the grasping root. Snoopy came around to try and steal away that blue buff, but it's already gone. Extermin already had it. They're going to go for dragon from this one, though.
And EG completely has the damage from that just because of Yellow Pete alone. That percent damage he can do with the Varus when he gets those blights stacks is just dominating. It really decimates any kind of objectives. They do get the first dragon of the game. It gives them a nice little bit of gold. And looking over at builds a little bit, I'm loving what Froggen's doing because he has that Flash Ghost, which we haven't touched on too much. We saw the Ghost popped earlier, but he has a Cage's Lucky Pick, so he's going for that Twin Shadow. So he'll be able to ult in. He'll be able to use that slow from that. He has a stun from his gold card, and then he has Ghost and Flash to keep up with the target. So he's really looking at singling out anyone that's trying to solo or split push.
So we'll keep our eye on Froggen's build this time for Twisted Fate. I know a lot of you guys were talking about his Lux build and how he changed things around. And some people were, you know, hit and miss whether he was doing a great job about it. Of course, he is classed as one of those top AP mid players in the world, so he does immediately get criticized, I guess, on some of his builds that he chooses, but really is one of the trendsetters as it stands at the moment. We do see the duo lane. They've moved in towards the mid lane, so the pressure going to be put on towards this middle turret now from Crepo and Yellow Pete.
And now by getting that little bit of a gold advantage from taking that bottom turret, from getting that dragon, they can start pushing some sort of aggression here. They know Ryze is still relatively weak in terms of damage. Looks like Snoopy going to give that blue buff finally over to Froggen. And they can easily make a 4, potentially 5-man push on this mid lane, though. They're letting Wicked just do what he does best. He's just split pushing. He's just farming up, just trying to get the items he needs to be a tanky force that Giants really can't deal with.
Well, and we do see Samex actually going for a different build on Elise here. Looking like he's going to go... Do you think that's going to be...
guys.
He's going to be haunting guys. Do you think we're going to see maybe Rylas in there instead? He's not going to go so tanky craziness with Warmogs, which we've seen a few Warmogs Elises these days, but I don't think he's going to go that way. I'm just seeing where he's actually heading off to. Oh, he's just going to ward out the blue buff.
I think he actually might go for a Warmogs instead of a Rylas. I mean, the slow would be really nice for him, but the extra health, because if you have 3 tanky targets versus 2, it really forces the damage out of Ichi to focus 1 down. But, you know, obviously the more health they get, the harder it is. And plus his damage, I mean, AP obviously helps it, but you do % damage and you have really nice execute. So you don't really need that extra AP. If he goes for a Landry's and that Warmogs, I mean, even Landry's and the Rylai's is going to be very devastating. That's all the damaging items he really needs, and then just go straight tank after that.
So we do see the bot lane, Yellow Pete, on his own down there at the moment. He's got a great big wave. He's just actually warding out the bottom lane. We see in this top, Snoopy is just hanging around, see whether Wicked can bait anything in here from Samex. But Samex, look at that, see the distance he's staying away. He doesn't want any of it to do with his great big alligator.
Yeah, but we do have Crepo heading up towards the top, so this kind of shows EG, they want to push this turret, want to get it relatively low, maybe even take it and then converge over towards that middle lane. We do have Froggen, has his ultimate available, hasn't used it just yet, but we might see that actually happen right now as he does get spotted by Ward.
This is going to be potentially a 4-man stack. They do ping down on towards Frog, and they saw him heading up there. They're trying to ward him out, so that immediately he's caught Morden's attention. He's gone up top. They do still have this 3-man stack in his top turret, though. Wicked in there. Crepo's going to join him along with Snoopy. You can see Samex, as soon as he baited into it, does manage to slice and dice away. Took too much turret damage there, honestly, Wicked, and that's forced him to back away. They can't go as aggressive as they wanted to in this one. Remember, Extermin has got his teleport available. Yeah,
that was actually a great reaction by them for Morden to stick around. We even saw Exter heading up towards that top side with that teleport. He easily could turn this around. Wicked already down to half health right now, and we have Yellow Pete in the bottom lane 1v2, and so he could get he could actually drop in that bottom side if they don't hurry up and get this turret and give him some sort of support unless he decides to back away.
Well, the difference is we do see the teleport. Froggen going down towards the bottom. You can see but better he went for. He's already used his ultimate. One more shot would be enough, but he does manage to avoid the damage, and they backed away from that one. So just covering themselves off. Nice ultimate there from Babetta.
And also, I mean, great ultimate from Froggen because they held that push off. I mean, the turret didn't take too much damage. It allows their top lane to push this turret down, which you see it going to fall in a second or two here. Just one more little hit, and it finally will drop, and that'll give... Well, okay, maybe it's not going to go down here. They're just going to leave it with 1 bit of health, but it will give EG that turret advantage and the, you know, a little bit of extra gold to start pushing on that middle lane.
So Morden's going to take out every little bit. Crepo's just they're going to have to stick around. They're going to have one little push on towards that top lane. It will go down eventually. So Evil Geniuses are going to pick up the top turret. And well, it's Snoopy that finally got the last hit. Crepo wanted it there. You can see he was like, I want to get the last hit. But instead it wasn't to be. So it is 2-1 in turrets. The gold advantage clearly with Evil Geniuses at the moment. Of course, they did pick up that dragon. They have that turret advantage. And it seems to me they have quite a bit of farm advantage. You can see 88 CS to 53, that top lane. Wicked versus Samex. The mid lane, pretty big advantage again. 110 to 89 right now. Extermin clearing out that wave. 102 to 105 for the 280 carries. Pretty even between those two.
And the thing is, Kog'Maw is going to completely overpower Varus as the game does progress later and later and later. And the Giants, all they're really trying to do is just hold on to that point, because they'll have Ryze who'll be really tanky, they'll have Mundo who's really tanky, and Elise who will, you know, inherently get that way with the items they build up. As long as they can protect Kog'Maw, which they have a really good lineup to do that, they easily can win those fights as they progress later into the game. However, on EG's side, they're kind of doing the same thing. They're trying to push their aggression right now. It's only 13 minutes in, and they're going to continue to do that. But as the game progresses, if they don't, you know, kind of force Giants to react to what they're doing, or force them to not allow them, to push the game on later, then they should be able to, you know, start taking these fights and start taking a lot more objectives.
Well, mid lane left open there, and immediately we saw Snoopy sneaking in, putting some damage down along with Froggen. We see Yellow Pete and Crepo position themselves 38 seconds before that dragon spawn, so expect them to start getting in position to go for it. I think Pink Ward was just placed in by that dragon from Crepo a moment ago, so they are definitely preparing for this dragon. As it stands, Wicked is still sticking around this top lane and keeping Samux busy.
And it's a smart play, because he's getting a lot of farm. He pushes that lane up really quickly, which Samux can't push it back as quickly. I mean, he does have some damage.
He's going
with that.
south already. They're going for dragon.
They're going for it. So as long as he pushes that lane up, which he can do a lot better than Samux, he can free himself up to go towards this dragon. And we do have a pink ward still on Crepo. There isn't a pink ward down just yet on dragon, but obviously as it gets a little bit closer, it will come down. And that will be really big. If Giants lets this slip, it really gives EG that little bit of oomph they need just to easily turn these fights in these favor when they finally do start breaking out.
Well, that small delay that Wicked just made, he went via the wolves. They could have actually been down there a lot quicker than they were. Instead, Samux comes down, throws out the cocoon, tries to go to Frog and puts the damage down. Can he get that burst? The spider does explode him. So that's going to turn a little bit of a chip down on towards Froggen. It's going to take him that little bit lower. And they are now in a position to defend this one and maybe try and force a play on the dragon. You can see Morden's coming in. He just managed to throw that briefcase in towards Snoopy. Snoopy taking some extra damage as well. And now you do see Giants actually position themselves very, very nicely for this one. I thought EG were going to just dash for the dragon, but instead they delayed a little bit too long.
Yeah, because Samux came down quick enough, was able to stop that. They don't have a pink ward yet to kind of take this this dragon at all, but Yellow Pete in the meantime was pushing that bottom lane. He was getting a lot of farm built up. He still has an advantage over Kog'Maw, and EG knowing they have the vision and knowing Giants isn't going for that dragon just yet, just going to farm their own jungle and protect this mid turret.
Well, we do see down the bottom, Jimbones is just going to show himself. He's going to clear out that big wave, which means that mid lane will be fairly open. Extermin was about to back off, but cancels his teleport, cancels his back, realizes there is a 5-man EG getting ready to try and push in towards this middle turret. Of course, that will definitely open things up. 21.8k to 18.3 in terms of gold, so the gold advantage, of course, with Evil Geniuses.
And it seems that Babette's not really running any GP10 kind of runes or quints, because he's behind in quite a bit of gold. He's down about 400 at this point, and that 400 is really crucial, because if you look over his counterpart, he already has that side stone and that Philo stone on top of that, and that denies a lot of vision onto Giants completely, because they have to spend a lot more money into these wards instead of those free 2 they get from the side stone.
And of course, don't forget, they will also be getting that bonus gold from Twisted Fate being on their team. It's just a standard there. We do see Giants looking like they're going to maybe shape up and go for the dragon here. We do see them getting position out. Teleport is not available. We can see he's going to go in towards it. Can I catch on towards Wicked? They don't really have the damage, though. They do put a chunk down. They're going to come around the side. Morden's going to be the target. And you can see an intervention straight away. Wicked getting completely caught. Nicely done there. And Giants, well, they have to back away from this one. They didn't pick up the dragon. Are they going to get sniped out? Samux does get taken down by Froggen's wildcard, and they're forced away from this one. It's a 2-0 currently for Evil Geniuses. And, well, you can see Giants backing off. They may try and catch another one out around the side there, but they're going to go for dragon instead. Froggen just trying to see if he can get any snipes out, any exit kills, but instead Giants had to back away.
Such a beautiful play by Yellow Pete right there. He came up from the backside, he landed his ultimate onto, I believe that was Morden, and it pretty much went into 3 more members of Giants, locked them down. They picked up 2 kills there. That was completely well played by Yellow Pete. His positioning was perfect. They get the dragon out, the gold lead extended even further up to almost, actually over 6,000 gold, and EG's looking very solid right now.
Well, there we go. Like you mentioned, it does push that gold very high. Extermin taking some more damage. That middle turret being punished, and Evil Geniuses are slowly but surely grinding this one out. Again, can they take themselves to 5-1 in the tournament? That would be a big lead for any of these teams to chase. You know, they've talked about the fact that they had 6 games in the first 2 weeks. They weren't too happy with it, but I think if they were to take a 5-1, they would be ecstatic.
Yeah, very true indeed. And Dean, I'm looking over Exeter because I know, and everyone else knows how much you love seeing those double or triple Rod Ages.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to see it this game, unfortunately, because he doesn't have any kills or assists, and he's still behind in farm in that middle side. But, you know, maybe as the game progresses, we'll see that, and you get to cheer inside a little bit.
The game is still young, Jason. This is evil geniuses. You need to remember, they will not complete this game until at least the 50-minute mark.
So true. That's so true indeed. So we might even see, you know, 5 Rod Ages with boots.
Five Rod of Ages
Could
with
happen.
boots. It's a possibility. I'm very interested to see whether he's going to change that tier into anything as well later on. Maybe once he gets those 4 rods, it's something will come out eventually, but we shall see. Then you can see Samox being pinged out there. Crepo is warding out the river towards the Baron, and you can see they're heading back in. Middle turret seems to be the next goal for Evil Geniuses.
And during that last fight, we noticed, you know, Wicked, he took quite a bit of damage from Giants. He took a lot of, well, I'll call it chip, because he kind of engaged just to see what they could do to him. He took about half health, but they still had that ultimate out of Snoopy available. They still had the Crescendo available. So it really shows EG, they have a stronger presence in these team fights. And I'm pretty sure Giants know that, and they're just trying to, you know, take free gold when they can get it, which you're seeing at the bottom lane right now, and just kind of keep their farm going on as the game does progress. And like you're saying, if it does last 50 minutes, you know, they easily have a chance. They can easily turn this game around, and it might get very explosive very quickly at that point.
Well, Jason, I wish you wouldn't call it chip, because I keep thinking you're about to say something else, but we do see the turrets dropping. It is 3 to turrets now, and Snoopy taking a big burst damage there. Froggen popping up towards the top lane. They're diving on towards Samox. You can see trying to get on towards him, but he does manage to avoid the damage. And, well, the turret now pressured once again. So Evil Genius is keeping the pressure across the map here and starting to slowly but surely choke out the map.
Yeah, I love what they're doing, because they're really spreading Giants thin, because they're making them react towards the top lane push and also the mid. We had a 3-man push on that middle side. Didn't actually get to the turret, but it made them react. It made them send their AD carry, their AP mid, and their support there to kind of fend them off. But in the meantime, Froggen was still pushing that top side, still getting a lot of farm, and they're really suffocating them overall in gold.
Samox is doing a good job at keeping this wave cleared, though, keeping them away from the turret. He's having to keep 2 members, and really the most fed members, occupied of Evil Geniuses. We do see Morden coming in to clear out things, and they are 4-man pushing this mid turret, and the Evil Geniuses have actually left this one exposed. I think you could see Giants push in here and get this turret down quick.
We do have Wicked coming from the side. They might be able to stop this, at least just delay it a little bit, because they do have Snoopy in the vicinity to give him the intervention if he does need it.
Well, you can see Wicked does take a lot of the damage. They're going to put the poke down on him. Is it going to be enough? Intervention does go down. The Zyra ultimate and pops them up in the air, but they don't have enough of a minion wave to try and get in there, but they did get a big chunk of damage down on it. They still have 4 members there, and of course 2 ultimates were already used there from Evil Geniuses. The poke continuing to come out from Jimbo's. They're keeping the pressure on, keeping the damage on the turrets. While this is all happening, we see the back down the bottom. Samox maybe should have joined the party there, and they could have put the pressure on.
Yeah, they, definitely indeed. But EG responds to that very well. I mean, they had Wicked go in just to kind of keep them away, stall them a little bit. We had Varus pushing in. He ended up getting that bot lane pushed up very far. It's denying a lot of farm to Jims. And we see the Spirit of the Elder Lizard actually picked up for Snoopy, which is such a strong item, because the cooldown reduction was added to it. And on Kale, get the extra slows, the extra cooldown on your intervention. I mentioned the heals, and even your Righteous Fury just helps him overall. So that item very strong, but we're going to need to see him pick up some sort of tanky-ish item, because they're relatively squishy at this point. The intervention does help. I mean, it does counter that burst, but after the intervention's down, I mean, you're still open to be taken.
Well, we are seeing the item difference starting to stretch out here from Evil Geniuses. Of course, they have got that 7,000 gold lead, and here's the extra turret, and, well, the 2 dragons they've picked up, as well as the Twisted Fate, giving them that extra gold lead. And you can see Static Shift and Bloodthirster compared to just the Bloodthirster and Pickaxe currently for Jim Bones. Of course, Jim Bones, if he can stretch to that late game, will become a danger. And, well, will Evil Geniuses allow it to stretch that far? As it is, they're starting to choke out this game pretty quickly here. A fairly speedy game in Evil Geniuses' stance. As it is, I'm checking out where Wicked is going to head off. Is he going to sneak around? Does put a pink ward down. And, well, Giants do not want to allow their vision to be suffocated in that top jungle at the moment.
Yeah, so I love what they're doing right now still. They're doing a 4-man push towards the top side of the map, allowing Froggen to go down towards the bottom so you can teleport in if need be. And, something we didn't even touch on much, Demon, was how well Giants actually shut Froggen down. Because of the wards we saw, it prevented him going into the top side to go for any ganks. He did go bottom, obviously, once, but they still shut him down with that Zyra ultimate and the Grass Queen root. So overall, they did such a good job of locking him down, but the problem is, you locked him down in kills, but he's still farming like a truck.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is actually my issue with Froggen playing Twisted Fate, because he just farms. He doesn't really use that ultimate like you would say with Peke or something like that on Twisted Fate, to zipping around the map to get those kills, to go aggressive. Instead, he just sits there farming.
Yeah,
He'll use that ultimate to go top lane and just get a chunk more farm.
Well, still, you do have to give him credit for a Twisted Fate late game, because when you get that Lich Bane and get all that AP, you can backdoor like no one else. And that's also the thing. I mean, even if he's not going to get the kills early on, if he keeps that farm up, he'll have that ability, he'll have that that play if EG wants to make it. It's really just up to them and how the game's developing. But Dragon is back up. EG trying to make a stamp on it yet again, take the third one of the game, and they've been doing a very good job of controlling the Dragon and controlling global objectives so far. Well,
it looks to me like they want to bully a fight out here. Surely this is a fight that EG wants.
Yeah, and they'll win it too. That's the thing. So Giants trying to be hesitant. They're trying to show some sort of presence to keep them away from Dragon, but they obviously don't want to commit to one of these fights.
And Samux there immediately getting pinged out. Thought maybe going to catch a glimpse on towards Froggen. Froggen is farming out that bot lane. Of course, he can just ultimate in and help out wherever it may be. Can't quite cover the map like he can do. And here he comes. He's going towards Extermin. Extermin flashes away from the Varus ultimate as well. Very nicely done. 2 ultimates used there for 1 flash.
And, I mean, that was completely worth it in Giants' favor. Great reaction out of Exter to just get away as quick as possible. Unfortunately, Yellow Pete did miss that ulti. And with those 2 ultimates down, I mean, they're a little bit more hesitant to go for Dragon. They don't really have a pink ward on them right now to take it, as they're still trying to apply pressure towards this middle lane. But in the meantime, Samix, he's been, split pushing this entire time. He's been at the top, which we saw earlier when they made a 4-man push on the middle. Now he's at the bottom right now, trying to farm as much as possible, get the items as he is building towards that Warmog, but he might get caught off guard here from behind, but EG gonna steal away this blue buff.
Well, you can see they're going to try and get in for this blue buff. Where is Samux going to go? You can see he's trying to position himself around the side there. Jimbo's putting the pressure down on towards Snoopy there. Crepo getting caught out actually with a cocoon there. Samux keeping the pressure down, has popped that Brilliance pot, keeping anything down they can on towards Evil Geniuses. Froggen has been caught out, grasping roots. A lot more approach. Cocoon goes down as well. They're keeping the pressure on towards Froggen. That's a good amount of damage gone down on towards the AP carry.
And Snoopy tried stealing away that blue buff with the smite. Fortunately, it didn't work out for him. And the thing is, Giants, I mean, where do they really want to fight? It's pretty much the exact same spot that EG wants to. However, they have that Sonic Crescendo to lock them down if they do line up. But if they're in a really tight area, Giants can protect Jimbone so easily with the Rise, with the Mundo, with the Cocoon coming out of Elise, and not to mention the Zyre Grass Fury, which can go through the entire team and the ultimate. So they both want to fight in the same spot, but great job by Giants to defend that away. They did get their blue buff over to Jimbones, so they really didn't lose anything in the end.
Well, the problem here as well, Giants haven't got the vision, so they don't realize that Froggen's actually just gone back. They could run in, get that dragon very now, which actually looks like they're going to try and do. They're going to go for it. You can see Twisted Fate has come back. Froggen's going to have his ultimate. He's going to come back in here. You can see there's the ultimate coming down. It's just come back up. Are they going to pick the dragon up? Yes, they can. They need to hit and run, and that's what they're going to do. The question is, can they counter? EG are going to rush towards that middle turret. There you go. Froggen goes in towards the middle turret. Middle turret is very much open, and Evil Geniuses will pick up this inner turret. Very good trade there from Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, great reaction out of Froggen as well. I mean, pop ultimate just a spot where they were, and he's like, hey, you're going for dragon? I'm gonna go for your mid turret then, and that's what we were talking about earlier. The power
of the top.
Yep, I mean, it was relatively low as Frog was pushing earlier with Wicked, but, we were talking about how he's farming the entire time, but he has a Lich Bane done, he has a Death Cap done, he has the ability to backdoor these turrets very quickly, and they're making use out of that. That's a really smart play out of EG.
Yeah, 2 turrets for really a dragon. That's a great trade, and simply... I don't know whether that was baited in it, but yeah, like you say, map control, I think, was simply that won that out. You were talking about Samux, the fact that he's out farming there. He's so far behind right now, 191 to 137. That's a big CS gap right there. Across the rest of the board is very much even, but the fact that they've got that Twisted Fate, the fact that those lanes are even means the gold advantage is hugely swinging in favor of Evil Geniuses, and the fact they picked up so many dragons and turrets. It's 5-2 in turrets now, and I think it's 2-1 in dragons, if I'm not mistaken.
And not to mention the utility that EG gets off of Wicked getting a lot of farm versus Samix, because he's been building straight tank. He has the Warmogs. We might see this mid turret go down for Giants, which would be a lot of gold they currently do need. And actually, in fact,
going to turn on towards Snoopy. Can he? He has to use the intervention himself. Is it going to be enough? But the rest of the team coming around. Froggen throws out the stun card. Catching on towards Extermin now. Crescendo goes out. Extermin goes down. They're pressuring back on. It's now going to be the AD carry they're trying to get on towards. It will be Jim Bones. You saw the ghosts come out there. It's going to be the Zyra ultimate. It's not going to be enough, and he's going to get popped up in the air. But Jim Bones goes down, and his passive will not take down Snoopy.
Such a great play to Snoopy there to bait them all in with the intervention. His team came up right behind him, and we saw the power of Froggen going with that Twin Shadows, with that Ghost, with that flash, is able to keep Jim Bones locked down, not to mention Wicked, who just flashed into the backside.
Look at this, keeping out the side there, sniping out with the stun card. There's the ultimate coming out. It's more than going to get pinned down. Now they're turning it on towards Babetta. Samux making a run for it. Wicked flossing the flashes away. Can't get the stun down in towards him. Where's Twisted Fate going to go? Where is Froggen going to dive into? He's just going to use it to purely keep the vision out. And now Samux is trying to avoid this one. It doesn't matter. It's going to be Babetta going down. And this time it is actually Froggen just saying, know what? I'm going to use my ulti. I'm just going to go top bomb.
I don't know if that was a misclick on his part or if that was on purpose, because he teleported right next to Baron pretty much when it looked like he might have been trying to go into the other side of the map.
So you guys go fight. I'm off. You got this. You got this covered.
I need more farm, guys. There's farm in the top lane available. Morton, though, might be able to catch him here. We do have Jimbo's coming in from the lane, but he's just going to farm up instead.
He's just going to throw out that stun card. Of course, Twin Shadows is not available. He might get pressured here. He's going to get the slowdown on him. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to miss it.
Missing indeed, but we do have a really great pickup out of Krepa so far. He had that runic, or he picked up that runic bulwark, which really helps against the double AP comp that Giants are running. This is team that much needed magic resist, because Yellow Pete, I mean, with the way he's building, he's very squishy right now. Giants finally do get that middle turret, but if they can focus Yellow Pete down, I mean, that's a lot of damage to be missing out on. Then they have to just get Froggen right after that, who doesn't have an escape just yet. He doesn't have that zone he's built up at all. On that bot lane, still pushing very heavily, and Yellow Pete's been doing a great job this entire time of just keeping that lane up against, or shoved up against the Giants, allowing them to take, you know, a couple more objectives here and there.
Well, I'm no expert, but normally with Kog'Maws, you generally see a Phantom Dancer or a Static Shift first. He hasn't gone for that. He's got the Zeal in there now, but you can see he's almost building towards the Infinity Edge before he even gets that Phantom Dancer out.
Yeah, he was trying to go for a little bit more sustain just in the early game, and the thing is that in these team fights, when they actually get to the 5-on-5, you know, hardcore fights, Wicked's going to be the only one that's really in his face unless we see Froggen teleport into the backside, so he doesn't really need the lifesteal, but it definitely helps him last in these fights, which, you know, they need early on, but as the game progresses, if he does finish off that Infinity's Edge, it's going to just completely ramp up his damage. But we do see 2 Rod of Ages, Steven.
We do see 2 Rods of Ages. We see 2 Warmogs as well in there from Giants, so stacking out those rods once again, and interesting that they go with them. I can see really how it works, but is there not better items out there?
It's based around the composition that they're running, because they have Semix getting very tanky, they have Morton getting very tanky. He wants to follow suit with that. He'll end up getting a Frozen Heart eventually after this, unless he wants to go for another one. He is going for his Mirror Mana next, though. We do have EG in a really good position to catch Exter if he does stay overextended, but he does back out towards that turret, and another blue buff. Well, this is actually the first one stolen away, but still another blue buff contested by EG.
And Giants going to try and keep this turret safe. There is a large stack along that top wave. They're going to be pushing in. Dragon's up in another minute, so EG not going to be going for that one. Looks like it is going to be the bottom turret they really want to pressure on here.
And I'm really waiting for these team fights to break out, because Giants can really catch Evil Geniuses off guard, because they have so much percent damage and so much burst with Rise that they can blow up pretty much anyone on the other team except maybe Wicked. It really depends on how quick Snoopy is with that intervention. But when we saw him the other day playing it last week, it was exceptional to block away as much damage as possible and the really key damage abilities out of the other team.
And look at this. Samux is very much well aware of that sneaky Froggen. He is trying to poke in towards that mid turret at the moment, and Samux is going to have to react to this. It means it's going to be a 4-on-4, and of course, it does mean Samux can't teleport into this fight, whereas Froggen definitely can get involved if he were to dive on towards the turret. As it is, they're keeping the turret very much safe as it stands. You can see that's the Siege Minion going down. Wicked getting caught out a little bit there, but there is some of these waves, and Samux is having a problem at keeping them at bay here.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a great split pusher as the champion is based around him. He's a Frog, and he's switching up towards the top. He keeps running between the top and middle turret, really forces Semix to react and also miss out on a lot of CS, because he's still even farther behind right now. 60 CS behind Wicked is pretty much lane opponent in the end. And look at the damage he's doing to him, you know, dropping him to half health from just one little combo. And EG's still 4-man pushing the bottom side. They have to, our Giants had to set someone off, but we have an engage happening.
They're going for it, and you can see Babetta getting dropped straight away. Their Exterminator was caught out as well. He's going to go down, and it's looking like Giants have just fallen. And this bottom turret, you can see, oh, that's going to be the turret. Inhibitor turret gone down. Froggen comes in. Jim Bones goes down, sniped out by Yellow Pete. That's going to be the turret. You can see the inhibitor turret also dropped. It looks like Evil Genius is going to take another turret on the bottom lane and just keeping the pressure on towards the Giants.
And that quick engage we saw out of EG completely gave him that entire fight. We saw Wicked, I mean, he was running right by the turret, just tanking it up, not taking any damage, and he's just thinking to himself, ain't nobody got time to kill that turret. And they do pick up another inhibitor turret. They pick up one inhibitor, that top one's still available. And with this bottom one going down, it's such a key inhibitor, because it allows the bot lane to keep pushing against Giants, and they have to send someone completely over there. So Exter has to be the one to keep that lane pushed out, and then has to be the one to teleport into Baron if EG does want to pressure that.
Ain't nobody got time for this.
Yeah,
I think that's what you were going with. Sweet Brown right there, heading towards it. Anyway, Dragon is being picked up. It's 8-0 currently for the Evil Geniuses, and they are 14,000 gold in the lead. It is a huge gold differential.
And there's a lot of gold to currently spend on EG's side. I mean, we have Snoopy backing with 2,000, Froggen backed with about 1,800. Even Yellow Pete has 1,700 spent, and Wicked with another 1,800. So that random Ozone could be coming out very soon, which is going to completely just pretty much eliminate any mobility that Giants has. Obviously, Morden's not going to care too much about that. He's Mundo. He goes where he pleases. But still, it's a lot of cash to spend. We do have Froggen picking up a nicely large rod. And if he wasn't doing enough damage already, that's just going to add even more to it. It really allows him to apply more pressure around the map and even, more Baron pressure to Giants.
And we're seeing another Twin Shadows coming out here from EG. I think Ghostbusters could well happen here from Evil Geniuses. I'm sure you've all seen that video. It's quite fun. But there's Froggen throwing out that Twin Shadows, keeping... It's actually very clever because it just shows you exactly where they are, and Samox just gets tracked down and says, well, there he is. I'm safe. I'm going to continue on farming.
Not to mention, it helps him when he's trying to chase someone down or try to go for some sort of engage. He still is pushing that top side, trying to keep Samox, just there. He's just trying to keep him out of these fights. He's doing a really good job of that so far. And Samox still falling further behind, but luckily for him, he is playing that champion that has that % damage. We do have Zyra luckily to actually check that Baron with those plants if they don't have any more wards left. But EG playing this very cautiously. I mean, they're in the driver's seat right now, and it's up to them to pretty much win or lose this game at this point. For Giants, they easily do have the opportunity to turn this game around if they can get a nice engage. We have Frog going in the mid lane.
Froggen's going to go in there. The Zyra ultimate will pop him up. You can see immediately he reacted there, and Jimbones goes down because he was caught out by Yellow Pete's ultimate. Oh, but Beta just dropped where he stood. Didn't even get a chance to come out of the crescendo. The Crepo landed on him, and Evil Geniuses are driving home the victory here as they just push the Giants down. It should well be 5-1 for Evil Geniuses as they drive in through the middle. You can see the bottom inhibitor is already down. Top inhibitor is exposed. The middle inhibitor is going down here. And Evil Geniuses, they didn't need the Baron. They didn't need any more excuses. They will finish the game out in record speed, I might add, for Evil Geniuses. A 35-minute game is unheard of. And knowing them, by the time we start playing the victory music, they're going to back out. I knew it. I knew it. I knew they'd back out here. I just knew that was going to happen. Because why would they finish it with 3 Barons down? Let's just go get Baron anyway.
I'm pretty sure if they can hear you doing, they're saying, whoa, Demon, calm down. We still have another 20 minutes to go, They still could come back, and Giants definitely could.
They've done this on purpose. I know it.
Yeah. We'll have to talk to them after today to see why they're doing that. But, Giants, even though they're still down 10 kills, they're still down 15,000 gold, they have the burst potential to easily take someone from EG down. But the thing is, Jimbones, he has to position a little bit better in these fights. He's been caught a couple of times so far. We even have a Beta who got caught by Frog and flashing over that Wraith Wall. With that gold card to lock him down. As long as Giants can position, perfectly and hold off these, 3 super minion push, then they can, get back in the game. They get in free farm because of it. But it's all up to EG if they want to finish this game as they are going to push all these lanes in. And they're going to try to go for these Nexus turrets.
Well, finish the damn game already, EG. That's all I'll say. Here goes the Ghosts going out. The Twin Shadows being launched out from Evil Geniuses. They have the Baron buff. They have all 3 inhibitors down. Super minions closing in from every direction on towards the Giants. There is not a lot they can do to prevent this one. They're just throwing out the grasping roots, desperately giving them a bay. Extermin comes out, the Zyra ultimate pops out, but Samox is taken so low, he's going to drop where he stands before he comes out, and there goes the big alligator diving in, and that's going to be Extermin being taken down by Crepo's crescendo. Morden stunned on towards the fountain, but Beta doesn't make it to the fountain. He gets dropped. Jimbones on the fountain, dodges out of the wild card. Yellow Pete sniping them out. They're just having fun right now. They're not even shooting the Nexus turret. Now they take it down. It's 5-1 to Evil Geniuses.
And such a great overall game played by them.